So I would say if you're an aspiring writer, if you're a new writer, try to have a strategy about this and have lots of patience, because for these international magazines and journals, even to get a reply, whether it is an acceptance or a rejection, can take up to 6 months. So have a lot of patience. First of all, work on your writing. You are a writer. You may not be a published writer, but take pride in your work. Whatever you share with the world, nowadays, Jitendra, whatever you post online, it stays. When somebody Googles you, maybe something that you wrote which was not good enough pops up, and then it kind of hampers your ability to be able to impress a literary agent later if you want to build a serious career in writing.
Hello everyone, I'm Jitendra Singh, banker turned entrepreneur and author of the book Pep Hack Mastering the Art of Selling. I welcome you to read my story where I interview authors, speakers, coaches, celebrities, entrepreneurs and more. Today I have with me Miss Sahana Ahmed. She is a prolific poet, novelist, editor and publisher residing in Gurugram. Her literary prowess is evident through her acclaimed novel Combat Skirts and her role as editor for Amity Peace Poems. Her work has been featured in renowned publications, journals, magazines, anthologies in India, UK, USA, Canada, Singapore, and Australia, like the New York Times, the Times of India, the Hindu, and Outlook. She is currently curating 4 books of the series Why India Matters, slated for publication this year for her work in the social sector. She was conferred the Women of the Decade Award by Women Economic Forum in 2022. With a diverse upbringing, attended 11 schools due to her military background. She attended Institute of Hotel Management and holds a master's degree in tourism management. She excels as an English language and soft skill trainer, collaborating with esteemed universities and collaborations in India. As India country chair for the World Peace Wing of G100. She plays a pivotal role in fostering global peace. Her commitment to empowering women is showcased through her work with She Inspires Award 2022 and RBTC, highlighting the achievement of Indian Muslim women. As the founder of the Rural Tourism Council of Wiki, she initiated the Green Buddies campaign promoting responsible tourism among school children. Her literary and social accomplishment earned her recognition as one of the 33 women achievers of India in 2023 among the 99 achievers of India in 2021 by the Indian Achievers Club. Her remarkable journey was honored with prestigious Women of the Decade Award at the Global Women Economic Forum 2022. So today she will be discussing with us about her life journey. Welcome ma'am, the platform is open and now over to you.
For inviting me. I look forward to our conversation.
So first thing ma'am, I'd like to know from you is how did your past life has affected the person you wanted to be in your life and what you are?
Okay, so let me start with my childhood. Like you just mentioned, I grew up in the army. So moving to new cities all the time, going to so many schools, feeling unsettled all the time. All that has contributed to my life in a big way. I studied to be a hotelier. In the late 90s, Jitendra, most of the army kids of my generation, they all went into hotel schools. So I did the same. My father wanted me to be a hotelier. That is something I did not want to do. I wanted to study literature. In my debut novel, Combat Skirts, in fact, the protagonist has this dilemma as well. She wants to be something and her parents want her to be something else. So, I understand the question that you're asking. What did you want to be and what have you become? So ultimately, I ended up being a writer, poet and a novelist. So I guess I did not get to study literature, but I ended up contributing to literature. So my upbringing was, dictated by strict hierarchies and processes in a way. So that is also something that has contributed a lot to my writing journey. I'll come to that later.
Yeah, sure. So the next thing which I'd like to know from you is like, what are the things you're passionate about in your life and what is the role of motivation and inspiration onto it further?
So Okay, after I started my career in the BPO sector, I was one of the first people to be selected from campus to work in the IT-enabled services industry. So, as I rose up the ladder, I understood that I feel very passionate about sharing my knowledge. So that led to a career in learning and development. And then I started a company in 2006. I was 27 at that time. That was also into training and coaching. So I was into behavioral training. So you can say in a way that I did have a role where I motivated and inspired young people. I used to be a corporate trainer as well. My classes were broadcast on TV, and even today, some people come to me and say, "Ma'am, we learned something. We remember that episode of yours where you were teaching how to eat soup." So personally, I am motivated by, I have worked in a lot of sectors. What appeals to me is harmony and precision. So whether it is my work as a trainer, whether it is my work as a writer, an editor and a publisher now, or even in my personal life when I am a parent. So I like harmony and beauty around. And I'm very inspired by, for example, my writings are also very, very inspired by food. Master Chef Australia, for example, I like the approach of the participants towards how they build a cake. So you can build a story in a similar way. I am very inspired by good design. So I love, keeping abreast of what's happening in the field of architecture, for example, or interior design. So I think a lot of things inspire me and motivate me. I hope that answers your question.
Right. And interesting too. So if I talk about your work and experiences, how you started your career and what all you did so far?
So I studied to be a hotelier. After that, I told you I went into the ITES sector. I was one of the first people to be employed by GE when they came to India. After that, I went into training. I was an entrepreneur. I coached and trained very senior people, beginners, and very senior people, GM level people of corporations like the Reserve Bank of India, leading universities. I told you I have trained participants of a reality show and almost all the major banks and corporations. So training was going really well. And then when I had my daughter, I took a break when she was 1 to bring her up because I wanted to spend all my time with her. When she was 5 years old, she told me one day, "Mama, you don't do anything. You're always at home." So at that time, I still did not want to take up a full-time job. So I decided to pursue my love for writing. That was something I was always very passionate about. And I was kind of good at also because I used to win a lot of writing contests, even in college. So I decided to take up writing in 2016. I got very lucky. Within a month of me deciding to do that, I got acceptances from very, very prestigious international publications. And I short story contest that I had participated in, my story was the only one from the finalist list to be given a book deal. So without having any story, I signed a contract and then I had to learn how to write a novel. And it all happened so fast. But I guess I have been lucky, and ever since I have been writing on and off, apart from the work that I do in the social sector. And now this year I have started my own publication house.
So we have heard of so many corporate programs happening, trainings and all, but I never heard of any program, a celebrity program wherein these type of trainings are happening. So new to me. So right, if I talk about your vision, mission and goal in next 5 to 10 years from now, so what do you think that should be?
So Jitendra, I've been very lucky with the opportunities that have been given to me. My role as an author gave me the visibility due to which I was asked to establish and lead council for Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And I think our council did really well, because of which then I was asked to lead the India Council for the G100 World swing. Now, my vision is to scale up and strengthen the work that I'm already doing. In the next 5 years, I want to be able to reach out to more people internationally. Of course, it's already happening. My mission would be to, start and nurture organizations that enable me to achieve my vision. So, in that direction, I have started a foundation called VTRN Global and Bare Bones Publishing that is also going to work alongside VTRN Global to, we'll see that there's synergy and there's alignment between the work that we are doing in the publishing space. For example, I want to contribute more books in the space of peace literature aimed at children and young people. I want to be able to assist military veterans and their families to transition into civilian or corporate life. So this is my mission, and my goal would be to, when I die, I want people to be bad. I hope to be able to do enough to be able to give frameworks and templates for other people who want to follow my lead.
Right. That's really wonderful one because if you leave a legacy which people can follow, that is the best thing possible in life.
I hope I'm able to do that.
Sure. Best wishes for that. And if I talk about the most important life lessons you have learned from your personal and professional journey so far, so what are those learnings?
I work very hard, Jitendra, but I think at the end of the day, what matters is, can you go to sleep with a clear conscience? I have worked in so many sectors, but that is the one thing that motivates me, that, I conduct my life according to this one principle. And when it comes to parenting, I feel that beyond everything else, if my daughter is happy, so happiness is also something that drives me. So happiness, are you able to smell the roses? It's okay, hustling is fine, working hard is fine, nobody works harder than me. But I do take care to just stop, breathe, and keep these very basic things in mind. At the end of the day, I should be able to sleep in peace.
Great. So now, if I ask you, like you've been working on writing and publishing quite long. So how can you suggest that writers are increasing these days, have their chances of getting published in international publications and journals? Because finding publishing your content overseas or international journals is quite difficult.
Right. It's difficult in the sense that the acceptance rates are usually in the range of 2 to 3%. So also in India, what has happened is, especially because of the pandemic lockdown, there has been a proliferation of platforms that have made it very easy to get published. So I'll take Pratilipi as an example. They're doing great work, but at the same time, you do not have to go through the whole filtration process where you pitch to an editor or you pitch to a literary agent. You can just open your laptop and publish something. Also, with social media, I'll take the example of Instagram poetry. Your first drafts, you can just put in a Canva box and post online. And of course, your friends and family are going to like it. And then it's going to give you a false sense of having achieved something. What happens is when you get these milestones so easily, it stops your growth as an artist. So yes, aiming for low-hanging fruit, in a way I would call it, stops you from rising higher. So I would say, if you're an aspiring writer, if you're a new writer, try to have a strategy about this and have lots of patience, because for these international magazines and journals, even to get a reply, whether it is an acceptance or a rejection, can take up to 6 months. So have a lot of patience. First of all, work on your writing. You are a writer. You may not be a published writer, but take pride in your work. Whatever you share with the world, nowadays, Jitendra, whatever you post online, it stays. When somebody Googles you, maybe something that you wrote which was not good enough pops up. and then it kind of hampers your ability to be able to impress a literary agent later if you want to build a serious career in writing. So I always say, please do not post your first drafts. That instant gratification is very, it gives you a high, but it also hampers your work. Secondly, it disqualifies you from publishing or submitting that same piece of writing to a serious journal, because if you have posted something on your private Facebook page also, you are not eligible to send that to a serious writing journal. Again, when I said you need to have a strategy, there are different layers of different hierarchies of international magazines and journals. So make a list. A good way of doing that would be to use a platform like Submittable, for example. So they have different opportunities filtered according to genre, according to even the region of publication. So if you want to be published in the New Yorker, for example, you have to hold your horses and have that much patience to be able to, not give away your work to a lesser journal, for example. So if you are a new writer, I would suggest also following lists like the Pushcart year-end listing, the Pushcart rankings, the Wigleaf top 50. If you are a poet, then you can follow the yearbook of poetry in Indian poetry in English that is published by Havakol every year. So you get not only to read very high quality poetry, but you can also see where these poems were previously published. So that can give you an idea of which journals or magazines to aim for. So I can go on and on, but I think I can just sum up by saying that work very hard on your craft and have a clear goal in your mind on about what you want to do. Do you want to get 50 pieces published in a year, quality over quantity, or you want to have a very, very targeted way of going about things so that you build a list that is so strong that later when you want to publish a book, any literary agent or commissioning editor would be willing to pick you up.
Rightly pointed out, and the most important thing is, first of all, we should work on improving our quality. So that is the basic. Then we can identify the magazines internationally acclaimed, which are one of the best ones, which you look at publishing your content with. So list down them and then start try to collaborate them. That takes time, but definitely if your work is good.
I forgot to say, read a lot, because that will give you an idea of what kind of content is published where, which kind of, for example, what does Smoke Long look for? What does, the New York Times, what are they looking for? What are the opportunities that are available? Also, start with the top rung, have the courage to do that, and then slowly come to, down to the lesser ones, because it's obviously very, very hard to crack the top ones. Mostly they don't even go to open submissions, which is called the slush pile. They solicit work from established writers, but there's no harm in submitting something to the New Yorker with the hope that maybe it'll get published and it'll get you a book deal. So all the best to all the aspiring writers who are watching this.
Right. So what are common challenges faced by writers during submission process, and how they can overcome them? So one you already highlighted, it takes long time.
Yes, it takes a lot of time. For example, the first piece of mine that got accepted was a journal that is published from University of Chester. It's the Journal of the International Flash Fiction Association. Extremely hard to crack. I don't know how I did that. It was probably beginner's luck, but after it got accepted, I had to wait 20 months for it to actually get published. Sometimes you feel as a new writer, oh my God, nobody knows this is the great work I'm doing, but I can't even share it with the world. So yes, patience is a good virtue to have. Also thick skin, because there will be a lot of rejections in your the initial stages of your journey. Challenges, with technology, it has become much more easier to read good journals and also access them to see the guidelines that'll give you an idea of the content that they're looking for. For example, certain journals have themes for their different issues. So more than challenges, there are opportunities. But the challenge, first of all, is the quality of your work. Most journals respectable or prestigious journals, they have a very, very low rate of acceptance. Like I said, like the Journal of International Flash Fiction Association, it's 1%. So the first challenge would be to get through the editors. How it works is usually there is a volunteer or an intern who's reading your work. Then if it is halfway good or has potential, then it goes to the editors, and the editors usually have a list of writers they have already invited to write for the journal. So there's very a less amount of space for new writers or who are not established names. But if you can persevere and reach those levels and build a publication list of having published in these magazines, then it obviously adds a lot to your CV. So again, start with the top tier journals, then target the middle ones. Also, there is some kind of bias towards print journals, so it carries more weight on your CV if you get published in a print journal vis-a-vis an online one. But nowadays that is going away, of course. A good way of doing this would be to join online communities. For example, on Facebook, there are so many groups where you can share your work. It can also confuse you because you're constantly in that noise where everybody's trying to get through into a certain space, and people will give you all sorts of feedback, and it can also confuse you. So maybe you can join workshops. For example, initially when I started, a year into my career, I joined Meg Pokras's workshop. So that gave me a lot of clarity about exactly how to go about. See, writing is thinking clearly. So sometimes you just need to focus, breathe, chill, and really, really think about refining your ideas.
Right.
So, like I said, more than challenges, there are opportunities. There are so many very good journals coming out from India, international journals which are now based in India. I'll give you an example. The Hooghly Review, it started last year. It is publishing top tier, very high quality content, and being published there can definitely be a very impressive thing in your career.
Also, there are some paid versions have also available. So how should we look at them as well?
Okay, so if a journal is asking you to pay, there is a reading fee. So we have to understand the ecosystem also. Most journals, they don't have any funds or resources. Editors and the readers are doing it purely out of passion. If the journal is being published by a university, then mostly it is the students who are doing the initial editing.
Right.
Now, this lack of resources also means that they're not able to pay the writers. My thing is, if you're going into a contest now, okay, contests are very good ways of getting noticed. Like it happened to me. The editors found me, discovered me because of a story that I had submitted in a contest. After that, I have never participated in any contest, Jitendra, because I feel it's unfair to other writers who should also get a fair chance to be able to make it. So I don't participate in contests anymore, but others can do. Now, if the contest is asking for a submission fee, it's fine. It's fair also because they also need to, somehow get valued for the time that they're putting in.
Correct.
But if they're charging but not paying the writers, I just stay away from those publications. I don't care how prestigious they are. I don't care who they publish. But if they charge and don't pay, it's a strict no-no for me. So yes, in a way, a small reading fee can be a good investment. It can also give you a fair gauge on your own conviction. Do you want to pay 2,000 rupees for someone to read your work? Do you have that much conviction that this is a good piece of writing and I want the world to see it? Now, what you were talking about is a vanity press. Most new writers nowadays, I see, they do not want to wait for a traditional publication to give them a chance. You just pay a certain amount of money and there will be some basic editing done with your work. Sometimes even that is not done, and you can get published and share your book with your friends and family, and it can be a good bragging point. That's why it's called vanity press. I would suggest to not go in for those, because I'll give you an example. If you go back to a list of 100 years back of who the bestsellers were, sometimes you won't even recognize those names. And people who have actually made it through were still relevant today, but not in the bestseller lists. So sometimes you need to have that conviction in your work. It's not always about getting published or getting noticed in the next 2 years, 3 years. Work on your craft and play the long game.
Right.
So I stay away from vanity presses. There are traditional publishers who are willing to pay you for your work. So there are advances on royalties. Some people are very surprised when I tell them that I was paid to write my novel. They thought the only way to do it is to, pay somebody to publish. Then there is also a third category of publishers who are hybrid. So they have a traditional team, but they will charge you and publish your work. So now it depends on what kind of writer you want to become.
Correct. So choices are there. You have to pick. So
Yes, there are always choices.
right. So how important is networking and building professional connections for authors seeking international publications? And what advice can you offer to extend their reach in the global publishing arena?
So in the global arena, you can't really network without having a body of work, right? But the easiest way to do that is to join these Facebook groups, like I mentioned. So Meg Popris, for example, has her own Facebook group. Then there is Michael Loveday. Then there are so many groups where you can interact with very senior, very established award-winning poets. That's one way to do. It does not guarantee that your work will get published, but it will give you an idea of the opportunities that are available. So when I was new, I was part of a group called Cafferati. That is where I got to know of all the different opportunities that were available in the Indian market. You want to know the opportunities in the global market, then you can sign up to a site like Submittable. So it will also give you a list of all the grants and all the different scholarships that are available for writers, for example. And if you get selected, then nothing like it. Then that gives you a huge advantage in your career. And you can also, for example, the Charles Wallace scholarship. So you can go to university in the UK and you spend time there and you write and you learn and you come back. And then there are also contests which also lead to them, forming a sort of community with the shortlisted writers. So that can be another community that you're part of. Then nowadays, if you subscribe to newsletters and you become part of these communities, then there are so many online classes that are available to you, and then you network with the other participants. So these are some of the ways that one can go about it. But yes, to be eligible to do any of this, you have to be really working hard at your craft. Otherwise, either you will not be taken seriously, or you'll actually hamper your reputation and they will not want to be associated with you later.
So you have made an entire process, quick checklist, whatever aspiring authors and writers can do. So that's really.
I conduct workshops where I have entire checklists of different things that you have to work on.
Right. So that's really a wonderful thing. So if I ask you your take on success, what do you feel about it?
Success. So I'm not just going to talk about writing success as a writer, but success as a person. So, it matters to me what people say about me when I'm not in a room. In other words, you can actually also call it your personal brand. So what is your personal brand? What do people talk about you when you're not present?
Right.
So that's one thing. I hope people have good things to say about me. Also, we spoke about legacy, right? So what's a legacy? It's what people talk about when you're not around on this planet anymore. I was sitting with a professor of English 2 days ago, Jitendra, and we were talking about validation and your worth as a writer and how do you actually know you're good enough. If you've not been published, if you've been published, okay, fine, I have met certain standards of this industry and that is why I was published. But if not, then what? There's also a lot of rejection. Various factors can lead to your being rejected even if your work is top tier. So how do you know you're good? So I said, I think it's whether are you aware of your work being the best that you could produce? Have you done your best? Do you like your own work? Have you been lazy somewhere? If you've not been lazy, if this is the best you can do today, then I think you're successful. So, success to me would mean self-worth, to know that yes, I have a certain idea of what my value is, and it sort of aligns with what the world also thinks of worthiness.
Right. In last, any message or advice you would like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Okay, so I was just writing a short story recently where an artist is being interviewed, and this was one of the questions that was being asked to the character in my story. And then I thought about it, and I will actually repeat what I wrote in the short story. So I think three things are very important. One is to be awareness, the second is authenticity, and the third is application. Now, this can be used in your personal life or it can be used in your writing career. So awareness also includes self-awareness. You have to be practical, you have to understand the ecosystem, and you also have to know your own strengths and weaknesses. So awareness, authenticity. Whenever you're doing any work, the intention is very, very important. And of course, application. Work as hard as possible. Never stop learning. Always stay curious and never rest on your past laurels.
Right, very, very important message. And they sum up every discussion we had today. So, like in a nutshell, if you follow these things wherever you are, whichever field you choose, that will definitely help you to excel. So, that's really a wonderful message you have shared, and the discussion we had was really amazing. You have shared insights related to publishing, and not only publishing but publishing in a global platform wherein it is really hard to choose or to be selected. So this is really and wonderful information you have shared for aspiring author who want their work to be seen overseas. So really helpful for them. And I also really enjoyed the conversation. You have shared your journey, how you started, what all you did was also an inspiration. And I'm looking forward to invite you again soon. Maybe we can talk on similar or different topic. And looking forward to it. Thank you so very much, ma'am. And it was pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much for your time, Jitendra, and I look forward to reading your work as well.
Thank you. And I will also share your social media link along with this interview so that people can be in touch with you, take your help and guidance if they require anywhere. And thank you so very much, everyone, for watching and listening. I hope you all must have gathered a lot of information and enjoyed watching it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good day, and thank you.